Hi, this is Prem, Carly and Damien, and we're from Tribe. And tonight we're going to explore some embodiment practice paired with relational constellation work. And this is part of the body of work that we start off working with in foundations and that we're super passionate about. And our reason for wanting to go into this tonight is because we're diving in deep to how do we each other, how are we relating to each other, and what are some of the dynamics that come up between us. And we've been doing a lot of practice together to really kind of start to have a very clear map of the relational dynamics that happen between us, but we realize that we're not kind of special or different to others, and actually there can be very common patterns that happen between people in relationships. And so we're wanting to, we're going to demo tonight a way to work through a particular dynamic that comes up between, Carly and I are going to demo it tonight and do some practice here, with Damien facilitating us. And so we're going to demo a dynamic of when I reach and he withdraws. And so we see in attachment theory that is a common patterning that can happen in relationships, and it doesn't have to just be romantic relationships. This can be any type of relationship. So I want to just firstly kind of set up the framework as to why we're going to work in this way. So I've worked as a counsellor, having people talk about the narrative of their stories and what's happening in their life or what's previously happened. And I think there's enormous value in that. And I think the orientation of therapy and different therapeutic models and healing modalities are now moving towards looking at the body and what's the story that's held within the body. And for a long time, science had us thinking that our memories were stored in the brain, but actually what we're finding through research is that our memories, our histories, are actually stored in our bodies, and our brain is the recall system. So, and the meaning-making system. So, have you ever had the experience, and I'm going to guess that you have, where your response to something has felt more extreme than it really kind of is appropriate? For example, I might need to ask Carly for something which is a pretty basic request, like, are you going to stay at my house tonight?
What? How could you ask me that?
Well, actually what I was going to say is that simple question in the past has actually really taken me out, where I've felt very anxious and all these stories have come up, like I can't ask him that. I mean, he's my boyfriend and we talk about super intimate things, and yet something like saying, hey, are you going to be staying at my house tonight or not, could have me experiencing high states of anxiety and physical sensations of tension and collapse and wanting to be invisible, and then people-pleasing to try and cover that up, and acting like I'm all okay and I don't really have many needs. And I can catch myself or have caught myself in that spot and been like, wow, like why am I having such a strong reaction to this? And
let's dive in. Let's start there.
I want to, and I just want to finish off this sentence, which is basically that when our response is hysterical, which that response is to that kind of a request, we can assume it's historical. And so coming from the context here that our history is stored in our bodies, we're going to explore what is our history that's in our bodies, owning that my body and my history is mine, like you didn't create it. My reactions to you are actually mine. And through this process, we're going to explore that. And then once we have conscious awareness of it, that we actually have choice on how we want to move in a particular constellation, and we can use the body to explore that.
Well, one piece of nuance I want to add that I really like about this way of working is that our histories are actually showing up now.
Yes.
Right? So like if I can start to see what's happening in my body now, based on my history, you know, it means that I'm like not having to just like talk about the past. I'm actually getting to like look at how my past is actually having me show up in a particular way right now and how I can play with that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Okay. So, what's ready for you to like be in?
I think what feels like most alive and most true for me to connect with in this moment is the pattern that I'm familiar with, which is basically around having a need, and one that would require me to invite you into it. So I'm good at taking care of my own needs, but when it involves you, I can start to feel quite anxious and a lot of self-doubt, and then doubting you and how you'll receive me.
Do you have an example of something?
Let's see. I would say.
If you don't want to name it, it's okay. You can just kind of like go into it.
Yeah, I think it's like having conversations about how we want to co-create our life together. Yeah. So
when you find that you want to, it's already like beginning, isn't it? Yeah. Go into it. Like don't come out of it. Like really go into that. The feeling of when you want to have conversations around co-creating your life, and you want to start doing that with Carly. Start taking on the feeling. What do you notice in your body?
I notice that it's harder for me to breathe. Like I notice that I'm actually I'm gasping a little bit for breath. So I wasn't as aware of my breath at all before. It was just happening naturally. So I'm aware of having to effort to breathe.
Yeah.
To inhale.
Just stay in it. Don't try and deepen your breath yet. Maybe even kind of exaggerate that feeling a little bit more. And what's like, if you were to represent kind of a posture in your body of what that looks like, how would that look like?
Like my shoulders are coming up. I can feel that. And then I feel like just my chest is concaved.
Yeah.
My shoulders are up. I feel tight in my diaphragm. And I feel like this. Like I don't want you to see me, and I'll pretty much do anything to have you, to sort of smoke screen you seeing what's really happening for me. That's what these are doing.
And just stay there. And so when you experience Prem in that, like what starts wanting to happen for you?
Well, like I actually feel a lot of care, like seeing her do this, but I'm aware, like I'm purposely like collapsing a little bit because I want to exaggerate some of my dynamics, and I'm aware of like almost like feeling like being like wary of her potentially reaching in a kind of almost like a little bit of an aggressive way or something like that, or it's like I perceive it like that from this place, like she's like I'm scared that she doesn't trust me or something like that, and then so part of me feels a lot of care, but then part of me feels like some wariness, and then I feel a little bit of anger. Yeah, and it has me like just like there's like like whatever, something like that, a little bit of that in there.
Like what's the whatever too?
It's like I start making up that she's feeling that way because of me, or that's what she's saying to me, and then it's like, no, it's not about me. Like, and then I start almost like getting defensive, you know. So, you
wanna put that on? What's your defensive look like?
there's like a closeness, and I'm like, there's like a prickliness, you know, and there's like, I can feel some like, there's some heat in my belly, and normally I will contain my anger. Like I almost go into withdrawal because I'm scared of like doing damage in anger. So I'll actually then just like kind of turn away a little bit, and then just kind of be angry in my own space.
You want to stay there?
Yeah.
Just do that. And what happens for you now, Prem?
I feel like a gaping sensation in my stomach, like a hole. Now there's like before I was just aware of my like sort of like fear sensation and contraction. Now it's like there's a hole in my belly, and it's like I'm losing, like it's like a balloon emptying. I feel like deflated, but I also feel now there's this feeling like I've sent something out to him from my belly that's like, now a lot of my attention is on him and where he is and what he's doing and where he's not here. So I have far less awareness on myself and a lot more on a feeling of aching through my belly and an awareness of where is he in our connection.
And so last time we kind of went through this, we worked with you having a different response. So this time, like, I want to maybe we can explore a different response for you, Carly. Yeah. So you've seen, like, I imagine in this place you don't even know what's happening. It's just kind of like all of a sudden you're both feeling this way without much. There's probably not a lot of content. Does that feel true? Like, there hasn't actually been a lot of content yet. You just kind of suddenly you're in this pattern, and it's almost like you're in this pattern without even really a clear reason why. And probably, I imagine probably from this place you could make up a reason why. You could find something to be really pissed off at each other about and clingy, and I'm sure you could find it from this place.
Yeah, I mean, if I haven't even expressed the desire, and I do notice this, like if I haven't expressed the need, I do notice that this can happen.
Yeah.
And then it proves to me that I definitely shouldn't. I definitely shouldn't reveal myself. I'm definitely not safe to reveal.
Yeah. And then I imagine something else happens. Like you find something else.
Yeah, so I start to focus more on him.
Yep.
And what's going on with him.
Yep. And
how I can fix what's going on for him so that I can feel better. Because I'm really aware now of this feeling in my gut, which it's like now he's got me. Like if he's not okay now, I'm not okay.
So he's like, there's been a sense of him withdrawing or avoiding. He's now avoiding a connection. Yeah. And that's like hooked your anxiety, and now actually you're probably stuck. Like there's nothing else other than like constant loops of like, oh my god, I need to make sure he's okay. Will he come back? Something like that. Yeah. 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 And what's it like when that's coming at you, Carly? Like you can feel the
I've kind of disconnected a lot. So, like in some ways my attention's on Prem, but I'm more like in a resentful kind of way. I'm not actually really aware of what's going on for her. I'm more just like, she doesn't get me. I just like, I haven't done anything. Doesn't she see that I'm like, I'm just, have my own vulnerability. That I'm kind of got this churning of thoughts going on, kind of like that. And then I'm just like, I can be quite angry for quite a while. And then normally the anger at some point starts to subside. I can kind of just like, like finally like breathe it out and just like,
let's stay before it subsides. Let's go into like you're hooked as well. Like, that's surprising to me. You're hooked, but so Prem's like hooked on, is he okay? Everything's all on him, and you're kind of like hooked on yourself in a way. You know, kind of like almost a push, like hooked on avoiding.
Yeah, I feel kind of victimized. You know,
Victimized.
And then I'm like angry about it, basically.
Yeah, so there's an overwhelm, and it's like it's actually that's quite interesting. It's like kind of like she doesn't get me. You know, so there's like you're kind of like hooked on yourself in a way.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
That's interesting. And I noticed that you said you couldn't like you had some attention on her, but it wasn't like a connective attention. You can't actually feel what's going on for her anymore. You've actually numbed it out.
Yeah, like it was actually quite good to look at her a tiny bit as she was saying what's going on for her, because I'm like, oh, that's what's going on for you.
Right, because you you're actually not aware of it.
Yeah.
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 So, I wonder from this place, what would it be, like what would it take to, like, actually bring attention back to her to see what's going on for her? Like, is that possible from this place, that you could actually come into attention on her?
I feel like I need to come into like uprightness in myself first. You know, and normally I go through this cycle, but you know, it's like I want to like make it much faster, to the point where I don't even need to withdraw, kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, so I need to like just like let go of the anger, sigh it out, and then kind of just come back into almost like feeling my little one, you know, feeling my vulnerability and where I actually feel kind of hurt, and then actually kind of, you know, like just like coming back into like a sense of like I've got me, you know, I've got me, like I'm okay, you know, like I don't need anyone else to have me, which is almost like where the resentment's coming from. It's almost like I'm wanting Prem to have got me or something like that, you know.
Yeah.
So there's probably some like parental projection going on in that.
Yeah.
So there's like a sense of just like coming back more into my own, sense of self-connection, uprightness, esteeming myself, feeling more spacious and large, because I've kind of lost some of that. Letting go of some of the kind of prickly energy, you know, and then I'm basically ready to kind of turn back at that point, essentially. You know, of course, if I was in that when the initial stimulus of what Prem was in came at me, I think I would have been able to meet it, essentially. Yeah.
So why don't you do that? Why don't you do that and come back?
I just want to say that I noticed, like, when you sat upright, my natural, when you said, I want to come be more upright, I just noticed instantly the pain from my gut went away, and I actually felt upright. So it's like when you've got you, I come back into myself. Yeah.
Nice.
So there's one more thing I want to play with you. So like, do that whole process that you need to actually come back.
To go back into the...
No, like you're coming back now. You've come back up to upright.
Yeah.
And now you've come back into a sense of like, you've got yourself, you've got spaciousness, you're ready to reconnect with her. And so when you're ready, come back and reconnect with her.
Yep.
What do you feel, Carly?
I'm like aware of Prem, and I'm aware of almost like some of the sense or like the residue of what she's been feeling, you know, and then I feel like actually some compassion in that. And I feel some of the residue of what I've been feeling as well, you know, so, but then I'm like, feel kind of a sense of containing and being in connection with that, and that's okay. And then there's like a lot more sense of like kind of that healthy separateness, you know, differentiation between the two of us, you know, just kind of like, you know, and then from that place I feel like I've got a lot more space to like, you know, just get Prem's world, you know.
What is the like the compassion part of you, the compassion for her? Can you kind of like amplify that in your posture?
I actually start kind of wanting to do a lot more of this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And there's like more actually leaning forwards in it as well. But you know, with my spine is kind of a bit concave at the same time.
Prem, can you go back into the anxiety, like if you're about to ask the question?
Well, it's interesting you should say that, because the more available he feels to me, the more my anxiety comes back. So it's like it's like it burns me. It's like I can feel, it's like it's what I want. I can feel that that's what I want, and I can also feel that there's this part of me that's like, I feel like I could get burnt or something. Like the intensity of the availability, it's like without that kind of language, it just feels like I notice there's a subtle like feeling. So it felt comfortable, him being turned away and upright. I felt way more comfortable, and then he comes back, and then I know I want it, and then when I feel to lean into it, it's like I can feel like further back in my body I feel some tension again.
What's the story you're making up about that?
Well, that's probably the story, what I just said.
But like, what does it mean? What does it mean that you feel anxiety when he's available?
It just kind of has me think about my history of not having, I don't have yet rewired into my body what it feels like to have a partner who's really available for me. And it's so unfamiliar to me.
It's
that
terrifying.
It's scary.
Yeah.
It's just so, and it's vulnerable, because it means you're gonna stay here. Then that's a whole different rewiring for me. I'm just familiar with anxiety, you disconnecting from me being right, that you were gonna do that, I can't have needs. Then however long it takes, you come back into being okay, and then I'm okay again. But I'm not really used to the person really, although I am with you, I do experience this with you, where you turn and you then become available to me. But then I feel again my vulnerability. I'm way more familiar with the pain of longing, and then seeing you be upright has me feel upright. Supporting you to be upright. But it's painful for me. It's vulnerable. I feel vulnerable. And then the vulnerability has me just feel like I want you, and I'm still I'm still kind of like in my space, but I want you. I would be devastated if you turn around again. Like I'd be like, you know, but it's kind of like this feeling of, are you really? My body's like leaning and then tensing and then leaning and then tensing. It's really subtle inside, but I can feel it. And so I don't feel totally stable.
And I wonder if there's a place where you can find that you've got you.
Yeah. Well, I think about what you guided me with last time we did this. And it's like, it was, what I've been practicing is that I feel my extremities, so my legs and my arms. And then, so I feel my legs and my arms, and I notice my stomach relax. Like I've got a body. More aware of my body than my fear, sensations of fear. And then expanding, as if I'm just expanding my physical body so it's wider, to take up more space. And then I notice down my lower abdomen, kind of down to my genitals, relaxed. My breath drop down.
I feel my belly a lot more. It's like I feel like my lower nature more. I like it.
Me too.
Yeah.
I feel my sexuality more, my desire more. I feel more like an adult. Like I feel like I can see you as Carly, and I can feel my attraction to you.
It's funny, I'm noticing like I can feel the left and right sides of my chest and my heart kind of like they feel really balanced, like actually in this. Like it almost feels like a yin yang right in the middle of my chest.
Yeah, this feels way better to me. And my like I can feel like my pussy's like and I can feel like I just want to be here with you. It's like
And now think about bringing up the conversation that you wanted to have in this place, and Carly's available here, and you've got you. And what's it like to start thinking about having that conversation? Does it feel available?
yeah. It feels like my voice and my mouth, how I would talk feels there's not tightness around my jaw where I'm like holding back the words as I try and say them, and it feels like I want to go slow and not race over details. Like I don't want to leave any of what I want behind.
What's your experience, Carly?
When you first asked her that, I felt like slightly nervous. And then I noticed myself like actually soften a little bit, you know, and like actually go back into a bit more like sense of openness. And then I felt more space just to like receive Prem, but like still holding almost like a good sense of differentiation in my system. And I really liked when you said go slow. That felt quite like soothing to me. It's like, there's space, you know, and there's like, you know, I can like go into this place of like, am I allowed to have a voice or something like that, you know? And I feel almost like there's like more space just to not feel that kind of fear. And then I'm like, feel like really open and curious to hear you. And then I'm like, start also feeling more of my excitement to like be in the co-creative mode, you know? Yeah.
Nice. Any last thoughts?
I think the word that's coming to me most strongly right now is sovereign. I feel sovereign, and I feel I have a right to exist, and that my needs are important, and that they deserve being heard, like spoken with clarity, not white noise that happens in my body that has me leave details out and get fuzzy and
pretend like I don't have them, or
that's
all
right.
that stuff.
That's right. Like I feel like I trust myself that I will let you see me.
As you were saying that, I was like hearing it as if I was saying it. And I was like feeling this sense of like, almost like feeling me more in the space. This like more, this like sense of my perspective taking up space, more of me taking up space. But not in a way where I'm like, it includes you as well. You know, there's like I can be large and you can be large too.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's how it feels to me.
Yeah.
Like I can feel like our two spheres.
Yeah.
Where they are with each other, and they feel wide and full, and there's just like they're not collapsed into each other.
Yep.
I can feel it where you are, and I can feel where I am.
I like that you use the word sovereign. I've been playing with the term psychologically sovereign lately. Seems really relevant.
Yeah.
Totally.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, you.
Daniel.
Yeah, sweet.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you. Yeah.
Thanks for watching, guys.
Yeah.
I'm curious how this was to witness.
think this is like a final comments to me. Just like I love this process. To me, it's like so potent because it's like such a concrete way of seeing the patterns that are occurring. You know, to really physicalize it in our bodies. You know, both in our posture and also kind of distance and kind of direction and how we're facing each other, and to see like how we're wired like that kind of the history of who we are in our bodies and how we're wired in such a strong way, you know, just starts to have like I see our patterns a whole lot more clearly, you know, and then to actually play with having choice around those patterns and then what I do with myself, such that I'm like learning how to wire a new way, like where we got to at that end, like, you know, that then is like a practice that I can start to actually take into our relationship and my relationships in general. Like, wow, I can actually be in this upright place of being differentiated, taking up space, you know, still having openness, you know, and that's then it becomes like a really concrete practice, just like that I can do really easily all the time. And I love that as part of this work.
Yeah, I certainly feel like each time we do these practices, I certainly notice that there's a difference. Like I just feel slower, and I care less about what anyone's thinking about me, and it has me aware of how much of my attention is on that a lot. There's like an efforting, this fuzzy buzzing efforting in my nervous system, that each time we do this, I notice like a smoothing out of that. Like it's rewiring me. I'm doing a course that I've done lots of times before, and I'm sitting in the group and I feel different. I don't need to be seen. I feel different. And this is a practice, you know. That's what this is. It's not just an experiment, it's a practice. Rewiring.
Totally. Yeah.
And I love that we can just do it together.
Yeah.
Like we can just play together and do all different experiments. Feels good.
Totally.
Well, to me, it's wiring secure attachment. That's what we're practicing. It's like, how do we come back into secure attachment? And it's like, it's challenging. If I live my life from the insecurity of this oscillation between anxiety and avoidance, you know, which often is the way. If I'm insecurely attached, I'm going to oscillate between super anxious or too much and avoidant, you know, to some degree or another. And then to come back into a place where I've got, you know, that sense of I've got me. You've got you. Now you can actually come into relationship from a place of wholeness.
Right.
Yes.
And it's not like oh, I'm independent, I don't need anyone. Actually, I need, but my needs are like sovereign. It's not like if you don't fulfill them, I'll still be okay.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to make you the bad guy for not doing what I need.
Or I might come to a place where I realize, we have different values in business, we have different values in friendship, we have different values in living in a home together, we have different, but it's like, it's not coming from this kind of white noise, stressed out place where I'm sort of half telling you details and I'm reactive. It's like I can make choices knowing that I was really in myself and true, as can the other.
Yes.
Cool.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone.